Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Thriver Show. My name is Angelina Kardash, and I'm super excited to have my dear friend with me today, an amazing colleague with us, Kristin Gutierrez. And she's just like me. She comes from corporate background. She used to be burnout, overlooked, and overvalued. And, everything has changed for her. When she turned what happened to her into what happened for her, and she started to live a life with purpose and with joy is with fulfillment. And this was so inspiring to me, and I hope to you too. And that's why I wanted to share her story with all of you today. She is known in the industry as Get It Down Girl. Ooh, I love that. And she's a two-time award-winning bestseller author who has spoken on stages with Gabrielle Bochet and Eileen Wilder, which I love. When you listen to her teach, you will immediately recognize that she's one of the most grateful communicators and teachers that you have ever heard. And I'm so excited to have Kristin with us today. Hey, Kristin, how are you today?
Oh my goodness, what an introduction. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Angelina, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. And I want to welcome you to the show. And I really cannot wait to share your story because you inspire me. I mean, we have such a similar background. We both come from corporate. I met you recently, in our amazing community, and you just inspire me, girl. So, why don't you tell us? Can you share a little bit of your story with us?
Yes, I would love to. And you touched on it somewhat. So I spent almost 20 years in corporate America, climbing the corporate ladder, and decided that I wanted to become like enter the C-suite. And my current CEO was like, no, you're not ready. So I woke up one day and decided I will write a book to aid the credibility of me as a VP of sales. And then unexpectedly, April 17th of 2023, me and a bunch of people were let go from our job. And I don't know about you if this has ever happened where your back's up against a wall and you don't have time to think. One of my mentors always says, you can, as humans, we seek comfort. And so it's very common to seek comfort on that couch, right? It's very common for us to seek comfort in binge watching a show or eating that bag of Oreos. I chose to seek comfort in action. And so that is how I turned what happened to me into what happened for me, because that day I lost my job. I decided to step into the person I always wanted to be. And I started to monetize my 20 years experience selling as a sales consultant. And I've just continued to evolve since then.
I love that. And I absolutely love what you said about being comfortable. Being comfortable. I mean, and I also come from executive management background, in a corporate in Silicon Valley. And I mean, I cannot compare it to what I experience now being in this community and, being an entrepreneur. I think that being in a corporate, most of the time, I mean, we are being comfortable. Seriously. I mean, we work from paycheck to paycheck. Yes, I mean, we need to show our deliverables to our upper management, right? But we are being very comfortable. So I love when kind of, tune into that, being uncomfortable. Tell me more about that. What does it mean to me, being uncomfortable?
Yeah, it is. I have a four-step simple framework that I created as a result of all of this momentum I
Yeah.
built and snowballed in my life, including like how you know me and how we met and everything. But I think like when we are uncomfortable, to start there, we have imposter syndrome, we get stuck. We
Yes.
have paralysis by overanalysis, and all of these things are bad. Maybe the worst of it all is we compare ourselves not against who we were yesterday to measure the gain that we're making, but we measure ourselves against others, and
Mhm.
that creates a gap. In fact, that's a book called The Gap and the Gain. It's just such a powerful read, but it really talks about how I did not learn this until recently. It's not the best thing to do isn't to measure yourself against others or compare yourself, right? I'm so competitive by nature, but it really is truly to measure yourself against yourself and to micro like take baby steps and do look backs and look forwards. But the whole concept of uncomfortableness is and then you just get like you're stuck, you're stalled, I don't know how else would you describe it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. For me, being comfortable, yes, it's just, being in my comfort zone, right? And being afraid. I mean, this is, for me, it's just being afraid of going out there, showing myself, being judged, right? Because it always come to, well, I mean, I'm not good enough, right? So I'm not valuable, people will judge me for who I am. So this is how I was, even like coming from this basically climbing on the ladder. So everything has changed for me when I found like basically how to move forward. And I'm going to ask you, I mean, what are the first step that people that watching us today can take,
Mhm.
right, from the place of being so comfortable that actually puts them, as you said, in this paralysis thing, right? So they cannot move forward. So they're just, repeating doing the same thing again and again and again. That does not bring them any outcome, that does not progress them. So what is a, maybe first step they can do to break through this cycle?
Oh, that's such a good layup because I actually created this four-step simple framework. And the first step, this is
Yes.
so fun. The first step is truly to
Mm,
decide that you're not going to care. I know that that's hard, whether you're being judged,
yes.
because when we care what others think, that is a version of comparing ourselves to others. I mean, I have the chills. It sets you free. It sets you free to know that the only opinion that matters is you and maybe a spouse or, you're very close, whatever. But really, the only opinion that matters of you is you. And if you've started something, if you decided you were going to, whatever that decision point is, I'm going to start a podcast, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to get a TEDx, whatever these goals are that you have, when you decide, step one, now you've decided to stop comparing yourself to others, stop thinking what others think, and only congratulate yourself for making that decision today. So now you're in the gain because you truly are. Yesterday, you weren't ready, and today you've decided you are.
This is so powerful. I love that. So the first step is decide. I love that. Absolutely love that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you're going to ask, what's the second step,
What
Kristin?
is the second step? Yes, Kristen, tell me.
It's to take one step. It's so simple. The best, craziest example I always use is like I was in sales, right?
Yeah.
And I sold multi-million dollar language translation service programs to companies like Apple or Dell or Google or lots of other brands we've never heard of. And they spent millions and millions and millions of dollars on language translation, right? We have to cold call and email and network and in order to get know, like, and trust with the stakeholders to wiggle our way in. And the industry I was in, like a lot of industries, it's very saturated, right? And so often, depending on where I worked in the industry and what the CEO needed and the mandates, and sometimes we had to make like 100 phone calls a day, a week, or whatever. That's a very intimidating process, even for a salesperson, like making phone calls after phone calls. And obviously in 20 years that evolved, right? But the idea is that, like, when you have a goal, okay, I'm going to take a sales job and now as a result I have to make 100 phone calls, or I'm going to write a book and as a result I actually have to write the book. Looking at the whole 30,000 foot view is very intimidating. But it's so easy and more granular if you say, all I need to do today is one tiny step. So as a leader in corporate, I was a culture driven leader. Any tiny win, we celebrated the heck out of it, right? In a team chat or with people in communities if we don't have a team. And I think the where you start to build momentum, and we'll talk about what happens next, but it's simply to take one step. So first you decide and then you take one singular step.
I absolutely love that. Yes, absolutely. I mean, when we look at the whole thing, it can be so overwhelming and so, and people get burned out when they start accomplishing, everything, together, right? So, and like, I mean, being a corporate, this is why, I mean, people build those, small iterations. I mean, we call them sprints. So, I mean, because I come from also, from, product side and engineering side as well. So, sprint, the small task, right? And my coaching business, I mean, I also, talk about small habits, building small habits. So, yeah, what you told me is golden. I mean, this is golden. Yeah, first decide, and second, just take one small step at a time. And what I hear from you also, celebrate that. Tell us why it's so
Yeah.
important to celebrate your
Oh,
small step.
yeah, you know what? And I will, but can I tell you step 3 first, and then you'll understand?
Yes, absolutely. Let's go into the step 3. Yes.
Okay. Because there's only 4 steps. And so step
Yes.
3 is to lean in.
Lean in.
I know you know, and so let's see if others know, right? As we're talking about, okay, we've got a goal. I'm going to run a half marathon. Like it could be any type of goal related to anything, right? Um, it feels very overwhelming. So if you take a step, the third step is to lean in. Momentum is created by progress. Sometimes it's backwards progress, sometimes it's forward progress. When we detach ourselves from the fact that failing is failure, I guess, like, right? Or like not getting it right is failure. When we detach ourselves from that concept and we know that every single step we take is getting us closer to our goal, even if it's 2 steps back, 1 step forward. And the only way we can figure it out is to take a bunch of steps, one after another, but also lean in to whatever it is you need. If you're training for a half marathon and you're sitting on the couch, the couch to marathon training plan, right? You want to find a training plan. If you're going to write a book, you're undoubtedly going to research and potentially collaborate, network with other aspiring or previously accomplished authors. So it's this whole concept of like, who else out there can help you? Who on your team can you ask for assistance with? How can you create, ironically, a friendly competition? If you're in a cold calling environment, right? Like, how can you lean into your team? You do your stuff, I'll do mine. Like, let's check in after lunch. Anytime you're accomplishing a goal, the lean in phase is like, what else do I need to see or partner with or collaborate with to make this goal even more of a reality?
Yes, yes, I love that. Yeah, so what I'm hearing from you is like, keeping your eyes, first of all, on the goal, right? So I mean, just, following your goal that, you have in mind, you set for yourself. And also, created this supportive environment that, takes you every step forward, to accomplishing this goal. And I love when you talk about community, right? And collaborations and, partnerships, because this is what really, we cannot play a lone wolf. And I know that by myself. How many times, and how many people out there that are watching us, right, playing the lone wolf? Yeah, stop doing that. Yeah, lean to your community, because this is where you get, the help and the support and everything that you need. You need to be in a process with the people. I love that. What is the step number 4, Kristin?
So the last step is, thank you, Angelina. The last step is to celebrate. Celebrate. That's why I jumped ahead, but like it's
Yes.
really to celebrate the heck out of everything. We think, humans, we just naturally think that like the only time it's appropriate to celebrate is when we complete it. It's Long Beach. It's like marathon weekend where I am right now. So, and that's why I have marathon on my brain. But like, it's when we complete the marathon, right? Or is when we do finish the 100 phone calls, or have a book that we wrote in hand, right? Here's my first book. Like, this is the only time that you can celebrate, when in fact you should be celebrating every single step along the way. It's like our brain releases dopamine, that feel good chemical, when we are in motion, not only at the end when we've completed the thing. And so what's so cool about this 4 simple step framework, decide, take a step, lean in, and celebrate, is that cycle can actually happen as many times a day or a week or a month or a season as you need it to. So writing your book, you might be doing that cycle 1,000 times. And then obviously the book itself is a cycle, but
This is
that
amazing. This is why, I mean, what you share, I mean, you speak my language. You speak absolutely my language. This is why I love you so much, because I mean, you are speaking my language and about, celebrating. I mean, the dopamine, that's exactly how the neuroplasticity works. This is exactly why, we are successful in a way. So that's the only thing that keeps us going, because, once, you're, the good hormones, releasing in your body, and you feel the release of dopamine, and you feel this pleasure, right? And joy and happiness by accomplishing something. So that will bring you you back into your purpose again and again. That's a motivation that you get. So that's, I love that. I love your 4-step process. It's so easy. And it really, helps to break us from the paralysis and, takes and brings us forward. I love that. Kristin, tell us, who do you help? I mean, who is your audience?
Yes, thank you for asking. I would encourage all of us to recognize that like who we are today doesn't need to be who we are tomorrow, let alone a year from now. And so when I was monetizing my expertise as a salesperson, I always knew, or as like a sales consultant, I always knew I didn't want to be a sales trainer. Because it's like a thing in corporate sales trainers coming into organizations and doing all these things. But I wanted to lean in on all of my nuances and expertise. And so now I serve entrepreneurs, coaches, experts, broadly speaking, authors, speakers. I help. Oftentimes we have all of this expertise that we're sitting on, right? And I help them package their expertise in a way in order to charge extremely high prices for it, prices that they feel convicted for, but like really help them understand what the value is of high ticket offers. And then I'm able to teach them this strategy of selling one to many. So I get to leverage all my sales background and share that with the world. But the way I do that is by helping people understand what a high ticket offer is and building out their own high ticket expertise, selling one to many. And then the catch here is not hating how they're fulfilling. Because I don't know about you and your journey, but when I was selling mainly sales consulting, I was stuck constantly in back to back to back fulfilling, right? I'd have like all these consulting meetings, day to day, hour to hour, throughout the week. And then I had no time left in my calendar to prospect. And as a salesperson, I know if your pipeline's not full, eventually the business will not exist. So I really took a step back in a 3-4 month period to say like, how can I scale way beyond where I am now? And that's when I discovered the system of selling high ticket offers, one to many. And now that's why I teach others how to do the same.
I love that system as well. And I absolutely, you're talking to me as well about, like this, selling one to many versus, offering our consulting services to just the one person and being so burnt out. Yes, I mean, that's a huge issue for a lot of entrepreneurs. And also, even, for corporate consulting who want to start selling their services, right? So this is golden, Christian. I mean, I, love what you teach. Absolutely. And let me ask you this. Would you help someone, who wants to maybe step out of the corporate job and, become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting as I work with people of all different like backgrounds and where they're coming from. I will say that it's
Yeah.
often I am working with people who have recently left corporate on their own. Maybe they got reorged because of all of the past years, like just chaos and craziness, right? So maybe they were forced out, or maybe they're like me and on the top of this whiteboard for over a year, I had a plan. When I had my last job, I had the plan to leave. And I was scared. I was so scared because of finances. I was so scared because of what if it doesn't work, right? All these things that hold us back. And so, whether you listening or watching fit any one of those three categories or more, right? Or maybe you already have an established. My newest client, she chose to leave corporate on her own. She's been monetizing, right? But she hit a ceiling and she can't scale beyond. And so this strategy works for all types of people.
Amazing, amazing, so good. So, Kristen, tell me where people can find you.
They can find us at sayyes-to-7figureoffers.com.
Say yes to sevenfigureoffers.com. Okay,
Yes.
just
And
type it in your browser.
yes. And for your audience specifically, we're doing sayyes-to-7figures.com/Angelina. So we'll make sure we put that exact link in here, and we would just be honored. We constantly are doing what we call like online masterclasses, webinars for corporate people, right? Speak their
I love
language.
that.
And this is where we teach you the system on high ticket offers and or selling one to many. And I'm constantly collaborating with other experts, and the events are so fun. They are just like truly so fun to hang out and learn some new things. And so that is the best place to find out when the next event is and just to stay engaged in our community.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome, Kristin. Thank you for being here in our podcast today. This is Angelina podcast, Angelina with the Thriver podcast, and we make sure that we post a link